Hello students. Today we are going to discuss with you the fourth chapter of Sale of Goods Act, which is performance of contract of sale, which is basically about the rules of the delivery of the goods. Now, performance in case of sale of goods contract involve two things. On the part of the seller, he is supposed to deliver the goods, and he is supposed to deliver the goods that were demanded by the buyer and of the same quality, of the same quantity, at the time, place, and in the manner in which the buyer demanded. And also, he is supposed to follow all other instructions given by the buyer as well. And performance on the part of buyer is that he is supposed to make the payment for the goods delivered or to be delivered. Now, he might have been asked to make the payment in advance, even before the delivery, or he might have been asked to make the payment after receiving the delivery. So, performance has these two aspects: delivery by one person, that is the seller, payment by the other person, that is the buyer. But in this chapter, we basically are talking about the performance on the part of the seller, that is, with regard to the delivery aspects. So, section 32 says, unless otherwise agreed, the delivery of the goods and the payment of the price, they are concurrent conditions. Both have to happen simultaneously. एक हाथ दे एक हाथ ले, डिलीवरी मिलेगी और प्राइस मिल जाएगा साथ में. But that depends upon the terms of the agreement. That is why it is mentioned here, unless otherwise agreed. अगर कुछ और अग्री नहीं हुआ हो पार्टीज़ के बीच में, तो आपको दोनों चीज़ें पैरेलल करनी पड़ेंगी. कंकरेंट मीन्स साइमल्टेनियस, पैरेलल करनी पड़ेंगी. Now, the rules regarding delivery are: it is the duty of the seller that under section 2 subsection 2 of this act, he has to deliver the goods voluntarily, and he has to lawfully transfer the possession of the goods to the buyer. And this delivery can be of three types. Similar three types of delivery we have discussed, remember, in the chapter of bailment also, because bailment also involves aspect of delivery by the bailer to the bailee. Here also it is just the same. So there also I have discussed these three types of delivery, so I will not repeat it again. Actual delivery is physical delivery, physical possession transfer. Symbolic delivery is delivering symbolically, like giving the key of the car if you want to sell the car. Constructive delivery is that you are not delivering the goods physically, or you are not symbolically delivering anything. Goods are lying at the same place as they were before the sale took place, but there is something which has happened which has the impression that delivery has gone in the hands of the buyer. So again, this we have discussed in bailment already. Please go through these topics in your book itself. Now the topic which comes as a question is, what do you mean by delivery and what are the rules regarding delivery? So we have to cover here 13-14 rules of delivery. First is, delivery and payment are concurrent conditions. This I just discussed with you above, section 32. Second, delivery can be any of these three categories: actual, symbolic or constructive delivery. Third, demand for delivery of the goods. Now seller has to deliver the goods, but he is not supposed to deliver unless the buyer is making a demand. Buyer has to demand, buyer has to put a requisition, he has to claim the goods, he has to ask for the goods, then only seller is under the duty to deliver the goods. But he has to be ready and willing, but he has to be waiting for the demand by the buyer. But this is only if something else was not agreed upon between the parties. If the buyer has already told you, next day 3 o'clock please deliver these goods at my place, then you are not supposed to wait for the demand of delivery, because it was agreed otherwise. Secondly, it can be a case that seller was not having the goods already with him when he placed the order with the buyer, and buyer placed the order with you, and he was required to obtain these goods from his supplier. The goods were in the process of buying, or goods were in the process of manufacturing by the seller. So in that case, once that procurement from supplier has taken place, or once that manufacturing has gone completed, seller is required to inform the buyer that yes, the goods are ready, and then buyer can put a demand. So in case buyer never makes a demand and because of that seller never delivers the goods, the buyer cannot take any action against the seller, calling it to be his default, because here buyer was required to demand first. But buyer is also under a duty here that he should demand the goods at a reasonable hour. He cannot call at the odd hour, 12 a.m. in the night, and placing and asking for the delivery of the goods. So it should be at a reasonable hour, normally the business hours. Fourth is, what should be the place of delivery? Now the place of delivery has to be a specified place, but in that case that specified place would have been specified or agreed upon by the buyer and seller beforehand. So if in case such agreement, such term has been specified, then the delivery has to take place at that place. But what if there was no place agreed upon for the delivery? So in that case the rules are, in case it is a contract of sale, then goods will be delivered at the place they were at the time of sale. So wherever the goods were lying at the time of sale, the goods will be delivered at that place only. And in case it was case of agreement to sell, then the goods are going to be delivered at the place when they were lying at the time of agreement to sell. Thirdly, if the goods were not existing, future goods were there, the goods were to be manufactured, then goods will be delivered at the place at which they will be manufactured. So this rule will apply in case you have not specifically mentioned any place, then these rules are to be applicable. Time for delivery, again time for delivery has to be a specified time which you have agreed upon. In case no specified time was agreed upon, then you must deliver within a reasonable time. And reasonable time is not something specific, it depends upon the case, it varies from case to case. Like in this case, see, Phillips versus Blair and Martin, there was a contract of sale of molasses, and later on there was a change in the Act of Parliament which banned the sale of molasses. And before that Act of Parliament changed, only 1/3 of the molasses were delivered, and the rest of the delivery was delayed. So it was held that reasonable time has expired and they failed to deliver the rest of the goods, so it was their breach. They should have delivered the goods before the Parliament Act changed the delivery of the molasses. They should be aware, they must have been aware of that time. So in this case the reasonable time was before the ban took place by the Act of Parliament. Time for delivery of the goods, I have explained already, it depends upon the working hours of the business. So you should deliver at a reasonable demand at the reasonable time of hour. In case the situation is that when agreement or the contract of sale was done, the goods were in the possession of the third person, they were not lying with the seller. So in that case, even if the goods are still lying with the third person, it will be regarded as an effective delivery if that third person acknowledges or approves before the buyer that I am holding these goods now for you on your behalf. Like the goods to be sold, they were lying in a godown. Seller informed the godown keeper that these goods have been sold to person A, he will be coming to you. A called that godown keeper and informed him that I am A and I have bought these goods, and that godown keeper says, okay, these goods are lying with me, they all belong to you, you can come and fetch those goods, take those goods. So in this case, this acknowledgement by the godown keeper to A, the buyer, is equivalent to delivery, although physical delivery has not taken place. So this is the same thing as constructive delivery. Second case here will be, in some situations there is a sale has taken place with the transfer of document of title. You have not delivered the goods, but you have delivered the document of title of the goods. Like for example, the goods were transported through railways, and the railway receipt is the proof that the goods are lying with the railway authorities, or goods are being transported through ship. In that case, a bill of lading is the proof that the goods are being transported for so and so person by the ship owners. So in that case, third party acknowledgement is not required, because if buyer has those documents of title, the railway receipt or bill of lading or the bill or receipt of the goods, that is equivalent to the delivery. Next rule is, who will bear the expenses of delivery of the goods. Now expenses of delivery can be of two types. It can be delivery expenses like transportation cost, means the freight, loading, unloading charges, etc. These expenses are to be borne by the buyer. So seller may add it in the bill or he may charge it separately. But these expenses are to be borne by the buyer. They will be in addition to the sale price. Second expenses of similar nature are expenses of putting in deliverable state. Now expenses of putting in deliverable state here means, like for example, you wanted to buy a car, and while buying a car you also have agreed upon certain accessories to be added into that car. So in that case, the expenses of adding those accessories will also be part of the sale price. Sale price will comprise of all the cost. So in that case, these expenses of putting the goods in deliverable state means keeping that car ready with all accessories, etc. These expenses are to be borne by the seller, because obviously seller would have already made a charge in the sale price for the same. Ninth rule is part delivery of the goods. Now, can the delivery of the goods be done in parts? So first of all, we have two cases here. First is, sometimes the part delivery is made in progress of the whole delivery. The goods cannot be delivered completely wholly in one go, like the size of the goods or the quantum of the goods is huge, you cannot deliver it in one go. You have to deliver it in two installments. Two installments in the sense, you have loaded one part in one truck, and but you could not load the rest of the part, so you also took another second truck, you load the second part there. First truck reached the buyer next day, second truck reached the buyer the next day. So in this case, first day you got only the part delivery and the rest of delivery was on the next day. So in this case, the first part delivery will be treated as whole delivery, because it was not done intentionally. You were not intentionally breaking up the delivery, but in this case it was not feasible for you to deliver the goods this way. Then, but sometimes the seller makes the part delivery intentionally to make it separate from the other delivery. Like for example, order for 300 goods was placed. The advance money was to be paid for the goods, but advance money for only 250 goods has come. So seller delivered only 250 goods. So he intentionally did not want to deliver the rest of the goods because price has not come. So in this case, we cannot treat the part delivery of 250 goods to be whole delivery, because in this case intentionally the 50 goods were withheld. So in the first case also, delivery was not completely done on the first day, but we'll presume that whole delivery has occurred. In this case you have to do this case also, Hammond versus Anderson. So the seller has ordered his warehouse keeper that please deliver these goods to the buyer. So buyer came there and he weighed the goods that he wanted to buy, but he took a part of them only. So in that case, taking a part of them was with the intention to take the whole later on. So in that case, the act of weighing the goods, whole of the goods, taking delivery of part of the goods is assumed as taking delivery of whole of the goods, because there was no intention to separate the one delivery part to the other part. Next is delivery of wrong quantity. Sometimes it happens that seller delivers you short delivery. Order was for 300 goods, you delivered only 200 goods. Now what should buyer do? Buyer can either accept 200 goods only and pay for that much quantity, or he also legally has this option under section 37 clause 1 that he can reject the whole. No, I placed the order for 250 goods only, how can you deliver me part? So he can reject also. Excess delivery, you have placed the order for 300 goods, he gave you order delivery of 350 goods. Again, you can accept 350 all and pay for all of them, or you can simply retain 300 and reject the excess and pay only for 300, that was your order. Thirdly, you also have this option that you can reject the whole of the goods. You can say, I didn't have any place, any room, any space to place these extra goods. Now I will not take this delivery. Why have you given me excess goods? So you can also choose to reject whole of the goods also as per this section. But in case this excess is a negligible part, a very small part, then you should not make any hue and cry about this excess delivery, and you should not reject the goods. Another case can be mixed delivery. You asked for category A only, but the seller delivered you some goods from category A and some goods from category B also. So again, you can accept only A which you ordered and reject the rest, or you can simply reject whole of the goods, saying, I never asked for category B, why have you given me the other type of goods? So these options are available to the buyer in case delivery is of not the similar quantity or similar quality. Delivery of goods by installments. Sometimes in the contract of sale, uh, the agreement term states that delivery will be done in installments. So in case the agreement was to deliver the goods in installment, second case, then seller has given you one installment and you have paid for the same. He has given you second installment. There was some defect in the goods. You can reject that installment. Then there is a third installment coming up. You may also say, I will not take the third installment also, because you have done a breach in the previous installment. The goods were not right, they were defective goods. So in case there is a breach of major portion, you can rescind the contract. You can cancel the contract. But if you think that it was only one rare case that installment was wrongly sent, then you should not rescind the whole of the contract, but only that installment which was wrongly delivered. First case says, in case the installment was never agreed upon, you wanted to purchase goods in whole, one lump sum, but you were sent first installment, then second installment, then third installment. What you can do, it is your discretion as a buyer. You may accept the installments, and you may also say, no, I want in one go only. So in that case, if you accept installments when you never have demanded installment delivery, but you have accepted now, so in that case, if you have not made any objection, later on also you cannot reject the second installment which will come later on. So it happens in this case, Richardson versus Dunn. Order was for 200 to 300 tons. Delivery was only for 152 tons. And buyer has not given any reply. So it implied that he has accepted these goods because he never objected to it. Next rule is delivery to carrier or wharfinger. Carrier is delivery man, transporter, railways, ship owner, truck owner, etc. Wharfinger is owner of the wharf. Wharf is a warehouse. So we can say warehouse keeper. So in case the goods were to be delivered through a transporter or through a carrier or through a wharfinger, in that case it is duty of the seller to make a proper contract with these persons and then to intimate the buyer that I have done this kind of contract with them, and the goods are to come in transit through railway, through ship, etc. The purpose of intimating the buyer here is that buyer is now aware that the goods are coming. Then to secure his goods, to ensure, protect his goods, he can get any insurance contract for the safety of the goods on transit. Next is deterioration of the goods during transit. Now, in case while delivering on the transit, some goods got damaged. So if this kind of loss was an incidental loss, or means it was a normal loss, like for example, it was petrol or it was diesel, and which is bound to evaporate. So some portion of it has evaporated. It is called incidental loss, normal loss. This loss will be borne by a buyer. Buyer cannot say, I got 1 liter less, so I will not pay for the same. No, it was a normal loss. So buyer is supposed to bear this loss. But in case the loss is abnormal loss means because of the neglect or negligence of the transporter, some goods, something got damaged and loss was there. This loss has to be borne by the seller. Then is liability of buyer for neglecting or refusing to take delivery of the goods. Seller has properly, on time, at the right place, in the right quality, in the right quantity, delivered you the goods. He was there bang on time. But the buyer is not accepting these goods. So in that case, if the buyer is not accepting these goods, then seller will be able to take any action for the same. So in that case, where seller is ready to deliver, he has come there, but buyer is not available to accept the goods, then he becomes liable to the seller. Now goods are lying outside your shop. You have not opened your shop. You are not available at the deputed time, and there is a rain, and all the goods they get wet and they get damaged. So that damage loss has to be borne by the buyer, because it is his neglect, his refusal to take delivery on the right time, which made this loss happen. And also, for the now seller kept waiting and waiting. Then he hired a godown in the neighborhood, and he kept those goods there, and he had to pay some warehouse godown charges. So this charge, reasonable expense for the care and custody of the goods, will also to be borne by the buyer only. Another rule is buyer's right. These are not numbered, but they are part of your topic only. Buyer's right of examination. In case before getting delivery of the goods, buyer wants to examine the goods, you have to give him right of examination of the goods. And if on examination goods are not perfect, not right goods, he can reject the goods, and seller will have to take away those goods at his own expense. Buyer has no duty to deliver you those goods back, but buyer has the duty to deliver, to accept the delivery of the goods, and he is said to have accepted the goods if he does any of these three things. First, he expressly intimates seller that I have accepted these goods. Second, goods were delivered to you, but you never said any yes or never said any no, but you started making use of the goods as if you are the owner. So that is implied acceptance. Like, you are using the goods, you are bailing the goods to somebody, you are pledging those goods. So that means you have accepted, because you are doing something which is inconsistent with the ownership of the seller. Now, using, pledging, etc., it was a right of the owner who was seller earlier. But now, because you have done all these things with the goods, that means you have presumed yourself to be the owner of the goods. Or the third case is, you neither accepted expressly, as in first case, you nor accepted the goods impliedly, but you kept goods with you beyond reasonable time and without intimation of acceptance or rejection. So keeping those goods beyond reasonable time without any intimation also means you have accepted. You are deemed to have accepted these goods. Later on, you cannot reject those goods. Right of examination, I have told you. Not bound to return, I have told you. In case buyer refuses to take delivery, then its effect means, its consequence is that there is a breach of the contract of sale, and accordingly the action can be taken by the buyer against the seller, because goods were delivered wrongly. So this is all about the topic of performance of contract. Thank you.